Hi, this is Jeff Curto, and welcome to episode number 181 of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography. We make a lot of photographs. Digital photography has enabled us to more or less make photographs for free, right? We used to have to worry about the cost of film. Some of us still do. Those of us who are like me are still shooting film from time to time. We used to have to worry about the cost of film and the cost of chemicals to develop it, or the cost of lab fees to have someone develop our film. But now the only cost to making photographs is the cost of time that it's going to take to sort through the photographs that we make. And way back when I started teaching photography, I would encourage students to shoot two 36 exposure rolls of film a week. And I remember the very first time that I said that to students in the very first class that I taught way back in the dark ages, before digital happened. I said, I'm going to expect you to shoot two rolls of 36 exposures a week. And students just freaked out. How could we possibly, they said, take 72 photographs in a week? That's way too many photographs. We'll never find anything to photograph that's worth photographing in a week that takes up 72 exposures. And of course, what I was trying to encourage them to do is use the sort of learn by doing aspect of photography to do more. And the more you did, the more you learned about what it was that worked and what it was that didn't work. Well, fast forward a bunch of years, and as digital photography took hold, the problem I had was to have students not come in with 500 or 600 photographs each week and figure out which photographs that it was that they might have made that had value to them. So, in that same vein, I want to have you embrace the philosophy that the great architect Mies van der Rohe used. Mies van der Rohe, a great mid-century architect, and I was reminded of him. I recently went not too far from where I live to Plano, Illinois, to visit Mies van der Rohe's Farnsworth House, this amazing mid-century minimalist architecture building, and I'll include some photographs of Farnsworth House in this episode's podcast, cameraposition.com blog, and in the PDF with the app. And Farnsworth House is the embodiment of Mies van der Rohe's strategy, which was less is more. Less is more. Less is more. In other words, he felt that he could say more with his buildings by including less detail in reaction to the kind of architecture that had been practiced before his time. So less is more, minimalist. So as you go through your archives of images, take a look at how many pictures you made that you just didn't need to make. Digital photography, again, encourages us to take a picture of just about everything. And in some ways, that's really positive, right? Because we have the opportunity to make photographs of so many subjects that we would have probably passed by before and we might not have explored with our camera. But I would bet that if you go through your archives, you'll find, like me, you're sorting through your Lightroom archives, you'll find 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 photographs that you don't really have a star rating for because they're not very good. And yet, because we're all pack rats, we photographers, we don't want to toss them out. But figure out a way to use those tools that you have in your archiving strategy, whether it's Lightroom or something else, to get rid of those pictures, hide them, move them to a folder where you don't see them very often, or be brave, be bold, and just discard them, and use less images to say what it is that you want to say. A strategy that I sometimes use with students, workshop students now, is I use this strategy of having them turn off their LCD screen. turn off that LCD screen so they're not seeing what it is that the photograph looks like right after the photograph is made. And if they don't want to turn off their LCD screen, I give them a Postit Note and stick it over the LCD screen so they can't see it, which somehow for them is more frustrating than turning the screen off. The reason that this becomes a powerful tool is because they begin to think about what it is they're putting into the frame in a more clear way. So if you go through that large archive of images that you have and you discover all the ones that didn't matter and the ones that did matter that sort of bolster those no goodniks in the middle of the group, how is it that you could adjust the way you photograph to get rid of those pictures that you didn't need to make? How could you use the sort of film strategy of photography that every picture costs something? You either are going to run out of film, or you're going to run out of money to process the film, or run out of money to buy new film. Think about it that way. Think about the way that you could use less is more and be more like Mies van der Rohe in the way that he designed buildings, and use a minimalist approach to making photographs. Make fewer pictures, but make those pictures that you're making count more toward your eventual discovery of what the subject means to you. Try that, and maybe drop some of those pictures into the Flickr group, or post them up on Facebook in the Facebook pages, and we'll see what we can learn from each other about less is more. Well, thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography.